All right, today we welcome everybody out to Surprise We Both Love Movies. We've got a brand new movie we're going to be reviewing today called The Midnight Sky, which is exclusively streaming on Netflix. This movie stars George Clooney, and we also have Felicity Jones. This movie revolves around George Clooney's character. At the beginning, you find out he's kind of isolated on Earth in the Arctic somewhere, and there's something going on with the people on Earth. They never go into full explanation in the film what happened, but the air becomes toxic, basically. You find that out later in the film. In the meantime, you find out that there has been some space exploration for some astronauts to go out and find another suitable place for us to colonize. There's one group of astronauts that are coming back to Earth to report on the planet that they have discovered. It's an interesting movie. What were your thoughts on this film?
All right. The only thing I think that you really left out was that you realized early on, like you said, that everyone is that they're in the Arctic and this exploration team is leaving the Arctic because
Yes.
of this, phenomenon or virus. But you also realize that George Clooney's character has a terminal illness, and that's why he's
Yes.
staying behind, so to speak.
Yes.
And I thought that was very critical to the story. And overall, it's a very interesting story. Is it fast paced? No.
No.
Is it tons of action? No. Or adventure? No. But it's a really interesting character study kind of film, is what I would say. You have a very interesting character that George Clooney plays, was kind of different than most of the characters he plays. He's very subtle, very calculating, very methodical, very analytical, but very interesting. And you get flashbacks into his life and what he's gone through. And you also realize that he's had some opportunities in life where he may not have made the right decision. And he reflects on this as you go through this journey. At the same time, you're learning of these characters that are on the ship that's traveling back to Earth, even though there's this great peril within the world. And he's trying to reach out and contact them. And you realize that early on that there's this little girl that's ends up being stuck with them at the beginning of the story after everyone's left, and he needs to figure out a way to get her off this Arctic place where he's located.
Yep.
But it's a very interesting story, and I had to watch it a couple times. I won't lie, because the first time I saw it, I missed some things and I was totally lost. And I told Aaron when he watched it, I said, hey, make sure you focus. You don't have to focus like a tenant focus where you got to just be glued to the screen, but you have to pay attention or you will miss something. Overall, I thought it was a very, very, very good story. And I thought it made you think about a lot of things. Me as a dad and as a man, it makes you think about how, what you would do in a situation like that and how you would react and what you would do and what's most important. And I think at the end of the day, that's what the movie kind of exposes, is what's most important to you, and what do you stand for? What's your kind of creed, or what's the code that you live by?
Yep.
And I thought that was a very important part of the movie. What did you think of it?
I found the movie to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this movie figured out immediately.
Okay.
This does have an interesting ending that ties the whole movie together.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't call it a massive twist ending, but it's going to make you revisit the whole film.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already figured it out long before it ever came. I didn't think they hit it very well. The movie, here's what I really liked about the movie. I love the beginning, the way it opens. This is not a shaky film movie. Movies have gotten so crazy with the shaky camera that I miss these opening sequences. It was very reminiscent of Alien. And it was the camera is very still. You get the serenity of the moment with this character on his journey as he's alone. And I found the beginning to be fascinating. It was my favorite part of the film. Then when the story's building, it's good and entertaining. And then there was a part towards the last third where I got somewhat bored with it, and I wanted it to move along to get the story going. Some of the journey of the astronauts coming back to Earth, I thought, didn't match the tone of the rest of the film and wasn't 100% necessary. I think they did it to add a little bit of action to the movie when it didn't necessarily need to be in there, and they could have probably shortened the film by about 20 minutes. Did I think it was a waste? No, it was actually enjoyable. The movie was good from beginning to end. I never got I did get bored, but I didn't become disinterested in the film itself. I like
Hmm.
the story that it told. I like the point of the movie.
Hmm.
It was beautiful. I mean, the
It was.
cinematography was pretty
Wow.
amazing in the film. So
Hmm.
this was directed, for people who don't know, it was actually directed by George Clooney, and it shows that he does have some directing ability for sure. I'd like to see him maybe direct some more stuff because he's been kind of behind the scenes.
Hmm.
Something that a lot of people don't know about George Clooney is he's not fully a SAG-AFTRA member, which is interesting. These are things you learn when you get into different aspects of production. Being in voice acting, I found out about something called FICOR, which where you can denounce your union membership and you can actually work jobs as a union and a non-union member. Because once you join SAG-AFTRA, you're not allowed to do stuff outside the union. Well, he does a lot of commercials for liquor and things in other countries.
Hmm.
So he had to denounce his union membership. So that's why he doesn't get these massive roles anymore. So this was good to see him come back into doing a film and actually have a starring role as well as directing. And I thought he did a very good job. I'd like to see him do more directing, maybe less acting. I'd like to see what he could really do if he focused his energy behind the camera, because I thought he was very effective with telling the story.
Hmm. Yeah.
What would you give this as a score at the end of the day?
For me, as a movie, it's a solid 7. It's gonna keep your interest. It's gonna be good. You're gonna be entertained, even if you're not a big deep thinker or you just want to watch
Yeah.
something that's entertaining and something that's different that you haven't seen before. I felt like it was original, and it's very relevant to the times because of the pandemic. And there's a lot that you can relate to on a very personal level without having to personally experience what they were going through. So it was very relatable for what's going on right now in the world. But really, where it shined for me was as a film. I mean, I don't quite watch as many movies as Aaron does. I watch a lot of movies, but I don't watch as many as he does. So I wasn't able to pick out the little subtle hints to what happens,
Yeah,
at the end and how it all kind of comes together, which is beautiful,
it
honestly.
is.
Regardless if you
It
know
is.
what's going to happen or not, it's very beautiful. And it is definitely worth the price of admission. So, as a film, I was able to give this a solid 9. It was very
Yeah.
entertaining and something that I could go back and watch again and probably, pull out different themes and different subtleties that I missed the first time. Because on my second viewing, there was things that I missed about,
Yep.
the characters' motivations and why they did what they did, and really how complex and deep those decisions were and how they related to everything else that was going on at that time. What about you, Aaron?
I'm pretty close to where you're at. I enjoyed this movie a lot, and like I said, I got it the first time. I picked up all the nuances, and there were a lot of nuances throughout that kind of tied everything together that I was able to pick up the first time,
Mhm.
and I really enjoyed the ride. I'm actually excited to watch it again. I do want to see it again, and now that I know how it all is stitched together, I am going to be able to pay even closer attention and garner more. As a film or as a movie, I give it an 8. I think it's going to be something that a lot of people will enjoy. You
Mhm.
you got to stick there for the whole ride, though. Pay attention, and there's a really emotional moment towards the end of the film that really gave me a lot more emotion than Soul did. So there was definitely a moment in there that you take a deep breath and you're there on that journey with him. It's basically about him and his life, and it was very touching. So it was a good movie. So like I said, as a movie, I give it an 8. As a
Mhm.
film, I got to give it an 8 as well. There's definitely something to be garnered on multiple. I could see someone watching this 3 4 times and still picking out new things down the line. And so it's an 8 and an 8 on both sides for me.
All right.
Thank you all for watching this episode of Surprise We Both Love Movies. I'm Aaron Fisher.
And I'm Lamont Lovejoy.
We'll see you guys next time.